Well, how do you follow that? I don't know. Yeah, this is yours. One of the things I wanted to do is just kind of pass out a one-pager about Team Logic IT, so you have a pretty good view of who we are, the prospects that we go after, situations that you might be involved in, and conversations where you would have an opportunity to recommend us, the services we provide, and a little bit about our philosophy. So I'm just going to go ahead and send this around. I'm not sure if there's enough for everybody, but one of the things I wanted to do was focus a little bit about you know, as a culture in our company, one of the things that we do is we author best practices on all of the different kinds of services we provide. Because we think that there are thousands of ways you can do something, and probably 90% of them will get you in trouble. And so let's figure out what the right way to do something is and document that, and continue to refine that as a process for how we do business. We went through an email migration, and I'm going to tell you about two. One went really well, one went not so well. And the one that went not so well was because it took us outside of a process that we use to do business. And it really kind of demonstrates the value of relying on best practices for how to do things. Our typical customer is 5 to probably 30 computers. That's the sweet spot of what we do. That's where most of our business is. We have one giant customer. It's 130 employees. They're scattered all over the US, so they're not even in the same room with each other. They wanted to go through an email migration from an on-premise Exchange server to a hosted Exchange server. So it's taking advantage of some of that, the cloud infrastructure for them to do their business. Well, 130 people take a long time to do, and so what we decided to do was work with the vendor, and we set up a different approach for how we were going to do this. We used something called split domain routing and had all of this stuff all figured out. What we didn't know was all the side effects of what would happen when you start to migrate 2 different mail environments, and you've got people sitting on one server and other people sitting on other servers, and how mail gets directed back and forth over distribution lists. That was just never explained to us by the vendor. So we spent a month, you know, trying to get all of this stuff migrated and fixed along the way. Finally got through it. You know, the good news is that our customer is still with us. I think they really appreciated the fact that, you know, no matter how difficult it got, we continued to make progress and solve problems. But it's not, I think, an example of how we would want to do business in the future. On the flip side of that, we did an email migration this last week. About 30 mailboxes, companies all in one building, and we followed our best practice for how to do an email migration. Part of that is getting all of their mail flowing through a spam filter at the hosting environment location first. And you do that so that you don't lose any email at the point in time where you actually have to start migrating things. Well, once it's flowing through the hosting environment's computer systems, to take it from a spam filter where the mail gets filtered and then it gets sent back to the on-premise mail server to actually hosted mail, it's just a routing change inside that hosting company, and that happens instantly. And so we went in, got everything set up, got the spam filtering going, came in on Friday night, did the records cut over. We told DNS, okay, now you're not sending the mail there, you're sending it here. It happened instantly, and we exported all the mailbox, imported them into the new server, and we were done. And there was 4 of us. It took us about 2.5 hours to do all 30 mailboxes, and we were done. And you have to kind of let the whole system settle out over the weekend, because there's a lot of data that's been copied all over the place, and all that data has to find its way back to the new server. And so it takes about 48 hours or so for all that resynchronization to take place. They come in on Monday morning, they've got their new mail server, it's all up and running, their mail's in the mailbox, everything's working. And it happens that way because we followed a well-defined process that we've been working on over time. Part of that well-defined process comes from really understanding how the internet works. So it's not just about how a mail server works, but it's about how information propagates through the internet. And so the whole concept of doing spam filtering first to get email flowing through a hosting company means that when you actually do the email cutover, you don't lose anything. Typically, when you do an email cutover, it takes about 48 to 72 hours before all of the computers in the internet know that they should be sending mail to this server over here versus the one they used to send it to. And in the process, in that 48 to 72 hours, you've got mail going to 2 different locations that you can't really predict. And so you tend to have data loss in the middle of all of that. And lots of companies are happy with, well, we only lost 3 days worth of your mail. And for us, that's not good enough. So, you know, we said, there's a problem that we can solve here, and this is the way you do it. And so we, as part of our process, we start days in advance to get all of that internet propagation to take place so that we actually do start saving mail on the server. It happens instantly. And we know we don't lose anything that way. So, you know, we do a pretty comprehensive job of how we document computer systems and things, and I'll pass around this notebook one more time. I think you've all seen it. But in the notebook, one of the things I've added is a section on our best practices, because it's not just about email. It's about how we do server migrations. It's about how we bring clients on board. It's about how we do performance tune-ups on their PCs. You know, and all different aspects of how we conduct business with our clients. So we spend a lot of time in our company focused on what are the best practices for doing something so that all 5 of us, when we're working on a problem, are coming at it from the same approach. We've done it before, we know this works, and we do a complete job for the customer. We know that you have to hook up the archive files back to the mail clients. We know that you have to migrate certain pieces of information like public folders and things like that. Because we've done it, we've understood it, we've gotten feedback, and we just continue to improve those processes. So, you know, when you're looking for an IT vendor to make a referral for one of your customers, there are lots of choices that you have. When you're looking for an IT vendor who has a passion for customer support and a penchant for doing things the right way every time, I think then you look at TeamLogic IT. So I want to thank you all, and remember